and I think referrals is something that nobody does well. You know what I mean? Like anytime I hear about referrals, I'm like, dang it. Like that's definitely the biggest weakness that we have. And I think a lot of agents, especially when you're on the sales train, you're buying leads and stuff, you have a process and you follow that process. And then you start thinking about, wow, with all the volume that we're doing, there's all these different areas that we could.
Right. And I think the problem is too, you guys probably see it in the P&C, right? Either with yourselves or with agents or whatever. No matter what, as a salesperson, you could be selling toilets. I have no idea.
Right.
Once you get the okay and you made the sale, you feel inside like, I don't want to jeopardize this. I'm not going to ask any more questions, right? I'm just going to get the sale and go. You already closed it. You can't say much that's going to turn their mind around as long as you did a decent presentation, right? You already got the yes. So go for the second money. I think that's a Grant Cardone thing, is like second money. But the first purchase is always the hardest. The second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, whatever, is always easy. So you might as well ask. Right?
It's for sure. It's like what Russell Brunson does with ClickFunnels, right? You sell the product, upsell, downsell, sideways sell. You do all this other stuff because you've already made the sale.
Right.
So why aren't we asking? And we just had this discussion in our meeting this morning with my team because we're doing like a three-pronged process after we close the home and auto. Where there's first swing. So the first line of defense is the producers. So the P&C producers have to ask, no matter what, in every conversation, they have to bring up life, right? It's, do you own your house? It's either going to be yes or no. If it's no, then great. We're going to include $100,000 term, right? If it's yes, great. How much do you owe on the house? Do you want to see it paid off? Right. So that's very simple, non-threatening. And they give them a rate. They say, we're going to include this in the package. And then we can always back it off.
Awesome.
Right. And then the next day, if they say no, the next day I have a second swing. So I have my sales manager is calling, congratulating them, going over the discounts, sort of like beneficiaries, going over those discounts and saying, hey, we want to make sure you have all the stuff. You're going to get the paperwork. Was everything great? Did they bring up life insurance? By the way, it's only boom. So we're hitting them again, right? And they say yes or no. 2 weeks later, I have the person that does all our reviews. She's actually back here, does all of our reviews, our annual reviews or whatnot. And she also does the third swing. So she's calling them and saying, hey, I want to verify. I know that, Linda's super good. She usually asks the right questions and gets you the right coverages. I've been in the business about 10 years and I just want to make sure that everything's right. So I'm going to dive a little bit deeper than they did. Is that all right? Do I have your permission? They say yes. And then boom, we go through it. And it's like, literally, since we implemented at the beginning of the year, we've uncovered over 15 million in assets. We have an appointment today. I haven't even checked up. That's a $10 million annuity. I mean, it's just like, what? How did this even?
Unbelievable.
Right. And then we have several life policies already in the hopper because we're doing it, right? But it's that repetition, right?
Yeah.
Developing a process, holding them accountable, and then going through it. So not to hijack.
Not one prospect in that funnel would probably be like, oh, hey, Craig, by the way, I got $10 million. You want it?
Right.
No way. Ask.
Not one. Right. Not one.
And it was just like, hey, let's make sure you have the right amount of coverage. And they had state minimum. They have, it's way more than 10 million because they won a giant lawsuit. Something happened. Like a seatbelt broke in their car and they won a big lawsuit. And so, but you would never, when you see these people, you would not think there's $10 million in an annuity that just came out of surrender. Like that wouldn't even cross your mind. And because we did the process, we connected with it. A couple years ago, $1 million rollover because we did a similar process. It comes down to this not asking. If you don't ask, you're 100% they don't have it.
Right.
I mean, you're guaranteed.